Hello, Father Simon here, and it's time for our collective worship today. The Lord be with you, and also with you. Well, it's a cold day outside and the wind's turned really chilly, so I'm sat here in my favourite armchair inside, and I'm going to tell you a story in just a moment. Later this day is an important day. It is Human Rights Day. That's on the 10th of December, so that's next Saturday. Next Saturday is Human Rights Day. So have a little think and remember that's when Saturday comes around. In particular, today, I want us to have a little think in our time of collective worship about human rights. And in particular, I'm going to talk today about UNICEF. Now, UNICEF is the United Nations, that's the United Nations of the world, the United Nations Children's Fund. And what UNICEF do is they help to promote and talk about and defend human rights and the right to develop and all sorts of other things to help and aid children in particular. Because around the world, there are, of course, lots and lots of children. And although in this world, in this country, we enjoy a good standard of living and most of us all are happy and healthy, there are a lot of children in the world who don't have those rights. And when those rights are taken away, then UNICEF is an organisation which helps to go, that is wrong, and to help everyone to understand what those rights are. So what are those rights we're talking about? Well, it could be the right to go to school, the right to receive an education, like you lot are doing today at school. It could be the right to a decent standard of living, things like water, health, food and nutrition and those things. The right to be protected from abuse or neglect and being treated badly. The right to be protected from bad or exploitative work. There are children who are forced to work at a young age. That's wrong. The right to play, because children need to play. And if children do not have the time and space to play, then that's a right which is taken away from them. The right to be cared for by their parents. And the right for children to be consulted, asked, in issues that may concern or affect them. So there's just a few rights there, and there's a whole load more rights as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a story. But sometimes I'm going to say, Father Simon says, stop. And at that point, teachers, are you listening? You need to pause and stop, because at that point, when Father Simon says stop, it's time for everybody in the class just have a little think and talk and see if they can spot what rights in the story are missing, what rights are being taken away from the person in the story. Have you got that, everybody? Yes, Father Simon, we've got that. Excellent, that's good. I'll begin with the story. Once upon a time, there was a happy family. Mum, Dad, and Cinderella. Sadly, Mum fell ill and died. But Dad and Cinderella continued to live together, keeping each other company and helping each other. But after some years, Dad decided to marry a widow with 2 daughters of her own. Cinderella tried to get on with her new stepmother and her 2 new sisters, but very quickly they started to treat Cinderella like a servant. Dad was away a lot, and Cinderella found it difficult to talk to him. I wonder what rights issues does Cinderella's story raise now? Father Simon says stop. I'll continue the story. Soon, Cinderella found that she didn't have time to go to school anymore because she was so busy working, cooking and cleaning for her stepmother and stepsisters. They were treating her more and more cruelly. Cinderella no longer slept in her nice bedroom, but on a mattress in the kitchen. She didn't eat with the family anymore, but ate scraps in the kitchen. When Cinderella objected to the way she was being treated, she was locked in a dark, damp cellar for hours. I wonder, what do you think Cinderella is missing now that she had before? Father Simon says, stop! And I'll continue. One day, an invitation came for all the women in the house to attend a royal ball, where the prince was going to choose a bride. Everyone was very excited, including Cinderella. She was far prettier than her sisters, although she didn't have any fine clothes. But her stepmother and stepsisters told her that she couldn't go to the ball. Instead, Cinderella had to work very hard, doing the dresses, the hair, and the makeup for her stepmother and stepsisters. On the night of the ball, when everyone else went out, Cinderella was left alone to clean the kitchen. I wonder what rights Cinderella is missing now. Father Simon says, stop! And I'll continue. Fortunately, the story of Cinderella has a happy ending. A magical fairy godmother helps her to go to the ball, where she meets and later marries a prince, with whom she lives happily ever after. Sadly, in real life, there are no magical godmothers to help children who are being denied rights and can't rely upon a fairy tale ending to their sad story. When children's human rights are being denied, it is up to other people, other adults, as duty bearers to uphold them. If ever you are denied rights, then you should always tell a responsible adult. So that was the story of Cinderella, told in a slightly different way. And I hope you took time to stop and to think. As a school at Priory, we are committed to making certain that we think about and understand the importance of human rights. Those rights that I was talking about at the start. But as Christians, it's especially important for Christians to remember that every single person, every single child, every single person on the planet is a wonderful human being made in the image of God. It's like saying that every single person, every single one of you sat there and me and anyone else we see today and the people on the telly and everything, everyone we see is a unique and precious child of God. And therefore, we should always look after and respect each and every life, because every single one of us is precious to God. couple of questions for you to pause and think about now. I wonder, why are human rights important? I wonder, why are human rights important? Second question, I wonder why human rights give us hope. I wonder why human rights give us hope. Father Simon says, stop. I just want to do that once more, really. But you can stop there and just have a good think about those wonderings, those questions for us. And then it's time to think and time to pray. So let's be quiet and still. Dear God, thank you for organisations like UNICEF who seek to look after the rights of every child on the planet and help us all to realise that each and every single person on your wonderful world is one of your precious children. Amen. And let's say the prayer which Jesus taught us to say. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. So God bless you this day. God be with you. God help you to look at each and every person you see and meet as being unique and wonderful and precious. And God help us all to look after and ensure the rights of every precious child of God on earth. Let us go in peace to love and serve the Lord in the name of Christ. Amen.